Hey everyone, and welcome back to Citywide Blackout, your home for the best creators from around the world. I'm your host, Max Bowen, and joining me now, this one's been a little bit of time coming. I am joined by Adrian and Mariko. They are the A.M.s, and for the longest time, I thought that meant they were just really, really early risers. It took me a while to figure out, oh wait, it's their first names. So, there we go. Adrian, Mariko, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Okay.
That's correct.
To kick this off, I want to talk a bit about how the two of you met, because the story is honestly never heard anything like it. So please share, how did the two of you met, and what happened to make you think, hey, we should do music together?
Hey, do you want to take it, or should I?
I don't know if I've heard of this either. This story, but it happened back in, what was it, 19? Is that right? 2019. In March, it was piano day, I believe, and I was tuning Mari's piano. So I'm a piano tuner and musician. So I was tuning pianos up there in Washington and Kirkland. I was still living there, and I was tuning Mari's piano. And after I finished, she sat down, tested it out, started playing a little bit, and I was very impressed with how she played. And I just asked her, I was like, if you want to play sometime, let me know. And that was kind of it. I just left it at that. I was like, I doubt she'll ever call me back. And then the next day, I think you texted. I don't remember if it was a call or a text, but you got in touch with me, and you're like, is that offer still stand to play with you? And I'm like, you want to play? Okay, cool. And so we just got together like right after that and just started playing together. We're just doing some of the covers that I was performing out and picking a few songs, and we were able to record from home as well. We kind of have our own little studio set up, so we just sent some of these covers back and forth. I would send her like something I was working on, and then Mari would put the piano part and do like a harmony to it, and I was like, wow, this is working for me. This is like, there's something something special. I don't know, I just noticed it right away, and so that's how it started. And then other things happen.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, go ahead. So that's like the beginning.
Right. Just to frame this thought, like I hadn't done music really at all until he came in. Like I just played for myself. So I was not going out and playing like he was. He was playing gigs at the airport. He was playing these 3-hour gigs, like no repeats. He was playing with the upright bass, which he also plays. That's actually his first instrument with this other group, the side project. He had been doing that like multiple times a week. He was playing out. He was playing, like doing some gigs for Amazon. He was like a very established musician. And I was not. So it was also like intimidating for me for him to come and just be like, hey, you want to play? And then I'm like, oh, he's like a real musician, right? And it's like, oh, I had all these questions, like, am I good enough? And like, what if, but at the same time, I had like very young children at the time, and they're a little bit older now, but they're still kind of young. And I was like, I don't know how that would work. Because I was a primary parent, and that's also throws a whole other challenge of being a musician, which I'm appreciating more now too, as I'm trying to do more music, is like balancing, the rest of your life with, creative processes, which take a lot of time to like sit and focus and have a long amount of time to do, which is hard when you have young children. So when he gave me that option, like, hey, do you want to do music? And I'm like, I have been waiting for a very long time, an excuse, a sign to do music. And literally this dude walks through my door and is like, do you want to do music? I was like, how do I say no to that opportunity? You know what I mean? It's like, so say yes. You know what I mean? Like, so just say yes. And then worst case scenario, it just tanks. And then you're like, all right, that was horrible. Goodbye. But it didn't happen. And now we have an album and a single out, and I don't know. So we got that.
Thanks for saying yes.
That
I know.
It worked out for both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is such a cool origin story too, because you just happen to be here to tune her piano. You say, "Hey, would you do some music sometime?" And it's like, "Sure, why not?" And here we go. Um, Mari, a quick question for you: what had happened that you were kind of out of music for a while?
Um, just kids.
Yeah.
My youngest was 4 when I met Adrian. So chaos, not a lot of sleep, still not as much sleep as I'd like. Um, yeah. So really it was, yeah, probably just starting a family and just not having a lot of time, not really prioritizing it because it's like, well, what am I ever going to do with it? You know?
Yeah.
So
Cool. All right. So the two of you, you come together, you decide to do some music, and then pretty much immediately afterwards, boom, global pandemic happens, and everything comes to a screeching halt. How did this change your plans? I mean, what did you have in the works at the time when this happened?
Well, I think it changed. The plans changed more, I think, immediately when my family and I decided we moved to California. So this was like less than 3 months after we were working together. My wife got a job here in the Central Coast, and we were just like, all right, sorry, sorry, Mari, we're leaving. And so it was kind of, a real bummer to both of us because we noticed we had this cool thing going. It's like, okay, I'm not sure what's going to happen. And so that was the summer of 2019, and in August we moved down to the Central Coast, and we just kept that conversation going. It's like, okay, well, let's just keep recording and sending stuff. I mean, that's what we had. We always did that from the start. And once I moved down here, we started entertaining the idea of doing original music, instead of just pushing these covers back and forth, which was great practice. But we're like, we should try to write our own music. And that's kind of, that was the first hurdle was just like the long distance, moving away. We were, thinking maybe this is the end. Um, but we started working on some original music, and I think that's kind of what ignited a little spark in us too, to keep it going. And then, I mean, for me, when the pandemic hit, didn't I mean, I wasn't working anyway. I still didn't have a job down there. So it was actually gave me more time not going anywhere and being able to work on music. So I think I probably spent more time just writing songs, at that time than I have time for now, because it's like I can't tune pianos, I can't go out. So I'm just gonna work on songs. And I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, Mari, as far as the song, like the lyrics and sending me lyrics and
sure. Yeah. So how we work is for the last album, I wrote, I mean, it's predominantly about my adoption, but I ended, it just the way it worked out. I wrote all the lyrics on that album, and then Adrian said it. But I think also just coming back to that, the whole, how the pandemic affected us, it didn't affect our process because we had already been kind of working long distance. So in a weird sense, that didn't affect us. But I think it was that whole like mental, emotional, I mean, like global pandemic mentality that kind of was weighing on everybody. And people were like, I need to not go crazy. I need to make sure my mental health is okay. I need to make sure that I do something for myself. And for me, also, that was music. Um, and my husband actually realized that because I was home with the kids. That means I had a kindergartner, and that was doing virtual kindergarten, which is insane.
oof.
Um, like mentally, everyone across the board had their own challenges for a myriad of different reasons. But I think in that sense, the music also gave us that moment. I don't know, I shouldn't talk for you, age, but like for me, it was like, I
No,
need
please.
this is my time. And my husband was very supportive. He was able to like, okay, I will watch the kids like for these 2 hours. So you get 2 hours, just like focus on your music. Don't do anything else. Just focus. And I think, and actually that's how a lot of I was able to, at least get moments for myself, music for myself, and progress on this album. But it was kind of that, the pandemic that kind of also was the catalyst. But it also, it's that fire, but also makes you create. So it's like it's a funny thing.
And we didn't know at that time that we were going to make this album. I think that we kind of fell into that. I think just coming up with, just working on these original songs was good enough for us for a while. And I think it was sometime, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, but then I was going to say, we were starting to stack up all these songs. And I'm like, what are we going to do with these songs? Do they just sit on the shelf and die? Or do we at least try and get it out? What happens if we try? Like, let's just see. What if we looked at a few recording studios? What if we were able to record in the same place? What if we had a drummer? What if,
all these possibilities.
But still, like, pandemic was still hanging over us. Like, how would this work? I don't know. But it would be nice to share instead of just having, just an archive that's never out in the light of day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And quite an archive too. I read that you have roughly 50 songs right now, 13 as part of your debut album. How did it go about picking which songs to include in the album?
Well, sorry. Do you want to go?
Go ahead.
I don't want to.
No, you're good.
Okay.
We can elaborate more on that.
Well, it just happened to be really thematic. I think a lot of the songs were talking specifically about my adoption. We have a lot of other songs that don't really touch on those feelings of adoption or distance or quarantine or separation. But we kind of looked at the songs and the ones that we had just been currently working on as I was going through this process of meeting my birth parents, finding them, meeting them, discovering family members, and then the emotions, unpacking all those emotions, which there's a lot. And some of them overlap with the themes of quarantine, distance, relationships. So yeah, I guess I don't know. Do you have anything else to add? But I forget where I was going.
I think that's it, because we just kept pumping out songs, but that was definitely, I think that's kind of what brought it together for this first album, was like that theme, and there's a couple other songs that might stray from that a little bit, but I think in general, that's what the narrative is. And we have all these other songs, whether it's the story or the style of how we recorded it is maybe didn't fit either. I mean, we have some ideas that we're using, like use some electronic drums and synths. We're like, well, unless we acoustify this, it might, like, it's a good song, but maybe we'll use it later or on something else. It's just, I don't know how it's going to work as a whole. I mean, we have a whole set of like dark kid songs, which are really fun, but that's for another day. The Dark Whimsy.
That's a great band name. That's a great band name, Dark Whimsy. I like that one.
That's the kids.
That's the kids project.
Yeah, that's what we'll go under when we release that album.
That's it's gonna be a curious release. I think
kids will come in. It's just should be parents coming out to the show.
Yeah, right. Do not bring kids to this one, guys. Okay, you're an awful parent if you bring yourself.
It's only going to be parents coming to the show.
Exactly. No kids allowed. But I do want to ask about the choice to sort of chronicle. As you mentioned, Mary, this is all about your journey of adoption and meeting your birth parents. What made you say, I want this to kind of be what I do my music about?
I think it was just what I wrote. And then I just wrote, I was like, hey, Age, here's some lyrics. I mean, like, these are just, he was sitting on like 50 or 60 pages of lyrics. And And I'm not like, do something to this. He's kind of just like chooses, you know.
Well,
It's
you
like,
just,
oh, this
yeah,
one.
you just posted it. Yeah, we have a Dropbox, and you would put lyrics up there, and I'd go look at the lyrics and be like, let me, pick one, like, or just look through them. And I mean, that was kind of the process. Like, you would let me know when you had, you wrote some
Yeah.
lyrics. We call it the clay. Take the clay and then mold it into sounds. But
Yeah.
that's
So
pretty much how our process is. How we work is like Art, writes the lyrics, sends them to me, shares them with me, and then I kind of sit with one and for a little bit and just try to get just feel it and see what the feeling is, and then put a melody and harmony to it. Been working, just sending that to Mari, and then she'll put the piano part down, or a keyboard part, and then a vocal harmony, and then we stack from there if we want. I'll add my upright bass and additional things, but that's how we've been doing it up till now.
Hmm. And I got to say, the two of you go really well together musically. I mean, hearing "Ignite the Sky," which is of course your debut album, there's some real chemistry there. I want to ask about that, about your different styles. How did it all go together?
honestly,
Oh
I
God.
I try and keep up with him. Like I said, right? Like he's the when he asked me to play with him, he didn't tell me he needed singers. And he was like, "Hey, you want to play keyboards together?" And I was like, "Sure." And then later, after we had been like collab, he's like, "It'd be really great if you sang harmony." And I was like, "Oh God, I don't know, man. We'll see."
And you
So
did, and it sounded awesome.
It
Like
sounds
our voices,
amazing.
just like
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
different textures of our voices just really worked well together too. I'm like, yes, yes, and yes.
yeah,
It
so
was
just
just, it was magical. And I don't think we forced anything. I mean, that's the thing. It's like our backgrounds musically might cross over a little bit. I mean, we definitely have different backgrounds, but I think we
you
just
forced
kind of
me to
met
sing.
at some kind of like at some common ground. I feel like
No, we
neither
did.
one of us like nitpicks or pushes the other person to do exactly what they want. Like, I feel like that's what is so nice about this our relationship with music, is that I don't have to tell Mari like do this and do this. It's like these already, like, we're on the same, plane, same wavelength, I feel
Just different
most of the time.
habitats. Like we have slightly different backgrounds. Like I totally never, because I never sang, so I never listened to like singer-songwriter stuff, at least not that much. And Adrian has like a ton of, listening of like, folk and like Americana and singer-songwriter. And I didn't really, I never really analyzed it because I wasn't a songwriter. I wasn't writing music. Yes. I think also, so the distance, the 1,000 miles apart might actually also help us in that we aren't all up in each other's business, because we actually can't be. But I also think, like our personalities, we aren't normally like that anyway. But I think there is that distance and there's that trust that it's like, I trust you with my lyrics, Adrian, to do whatever you do. And then you just kind of trust me to come back and like add whatever harmonies. And you told me, I know they're different harmonies than you hear, but you're like, huh, that's different, but I guess that's okay. And then we just share ideas, but we're never like, it should be like this, or sing it this way, or you're,
Mm.
yeah, it's never feedback like that. It's more of like general like shape, form kind of things.
We give each other that space to be who we are, like do what we do, and uh I mean, I think I've been surprised quite a few times just hearing what Mari's put down, and or just thinking in a different way, whether it was a vocal harmony or even a piano part. I'm like, I wouldn't have thought of that. I wouldn't have done that. So it's like, why do I've made an album all by myself, and it's like, yeah, it's cool, but it's all like the way that I think. It's like the way that I would express it, and it's really cool to have someone else's, vision in there, and have both of us kind of meeting, you know.
Yeah, our different backgrounds or whatever influences, and then we kind of come together, and it's just, I guess it makes kind of its own thing.
Yeah, it works well. It really, really works well because one of the things that definitely, Adrian, one of the things that I got from your vocals, especially, is you were coming with, I think, as much intensity and passion as Mari, and I was curious about that because obviously you don't have her experiences. How did you kind of bring yourself into the story?
Well, again, like I was just, trying to internalize the story and just kind of sit with it and just see like where it took me. To me, her lyrics are very like, I mean, they're very like poetic, they're very visual. And so I like to kind of set a space, like a certain place and mood. And so I try to figure out what that it is for me. And sometimes, I'll send something back to Mari, and maybe it's not what she was feeling, or maybe wanting out of the song. So sometimes it's, we'd kind of work on that, and I change it. I'm like, okay, what about this? Yeah, what do you think, Mari?
Oh, well,
It's
I mean,
not always it's not always right on the first try. Sometimes I would have to.
no, but at the same time, I think it also speaks to your, like, your musicianship. I mean, when you're singing, covers and stuff, you have to emote a feeling of whatever is. Um, so I think that's also why people really respond when you do covers, because you emote through the covers as well. Um, I mean, during that time, I mean, you also knew me, and like seeing this like happen live, like I was like, oh my God, I just met my birth dad. Like I knew you during that time, and he heard me like explaining it to him too. So he also like we had these conversations too. Where it was like, oh my God, what was that like? And I was like, oh, it's so crazy, because he just told me he was like around the corner, and then I just met him, and but we sat outside, and it was really cool. Like, I don't know, there's like all this stuff. So he also heard it like first person from me. So I think there was also that, just like, that's crazy. I just heard this first person, not just through my lyrics, but just like, this is so crazy. I have a half sister, like um these stories too that he heard from me, which also I think just from an empathy perspective, he's like able to grasp onto that as well.
And it definitely gave, like, just having those lyrics. I was like, wow, you're going through all kinds of stuff right now. But it also, like, for me, since I'm not really a great lyricist, and it just comes much harder for me to do that. I'm much stronger, just on the emoting and the musical side. It was great to have some lyrics to try to figure out and set, the mood for, and just like a direction. So I think sometimes for me, the lyrics, I get kind of lost, or I'm not sure where to, where to begin. So it was always a good starting point.
Mari, a quick question for you. I was curious about what it was like for you to essentially kind of go through this process again through the making of Ignite the Sky.
It was all part of the process, I think. So like living through these emotions, and then seeing him put the lyrics of what I was feeling into music, and then seeing like, oh, does that music sit right with how I was feeling? Like, biggest wave, like, how do we create that feeling of just like building, and like just like wave upon wave of different, like, of realizing the different layers of love, or and growing and building. And I think we both have like a classical background, and I think that definitely comes out, and how we layer things and how we hear things. I think that's where we overlap on our Venn diagram. But I mean, it was definitely helpful. It was necessary. I was going through it during quarantine, during COVID. And so there's isolation, but then it was kind of further exaggerated by, the adoption and like the separation of like 15,000 days, which is the name of a track on our album, which is how many days had passed since I'd seen them. So like imagine having a baby and then being told in 15,000 days you will see your child again. Like that's crazy. Like I have children. I can't imagine doing that or going through that. So that kind of distance too. And then, there's also the distance between Adrian and me. So like everything was kind of echoing. And I guess it also helped, like I said, process. But eventually, because you're working through things, you get better, or you make peace, or you find a way to deal with everything that's happened. I don't know if I answered your question.
You did.
But
Yeah.
anyway, now.
Yeah, you did. I get you.
Okay.
You.
Well, and I think those really crazy too, because that time when we were recording was the first time that we played all together with the drummer.
Yeah.
So that was like coming kind of that story, coming back together, right? And meeting up again. And we never played with Jason, the drummer, before that. We just gave him songs and we showed up and we just, we started recording right off the bat and playing as a trio, and we're like, we'll see what happens.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was kind of magical. It was really cool to know that we could just come into a room and pull it off, and still have all the feels there. That was our motto. The drummer brought the vibe over accuracy. So it was really about the feeling. How good does this song feel? And just have the emotions there. There we go. As opposed to like trying to make everything perfect. Because we did usually 1 or 2 takes of each song. By the time we got to the 3rd take, it was like it kind of lost something,
Yep.
And so we're like, okay, do we want all the notes, everything to be like all like in the perfect place, or do we want the feeling to be there? So that's what that hat is that you just saw.
Yeah.
That was kind of important for us going in with that like mindset to recording.
I love it. I love that motto, vibe over accuracy. And that, like, knowing that we had that as like a North Star, like, it doesn't matter. It's like, we got to capture that vibe. Cause then if no one feels it, if you're not, evoking that, then, people won't grab onto it, but they'll get over a few notes, or they'll get over whatever.
Don't even know.
Don't even know.
Whenever it's all an illusion.
All an illusion. That's right.
Okay. Any particular songs that have a real strong impact for either of you?
All of them. Wow.
Well, I think Ignite the Sky for me, I mean, we talked, I mean, that it's the name of the album. I mean, it encompassed all the different feelings, themes of the quarantine, the adoption, the space between Adrian and I. It kind of, it's kind of big, it's kind of cinematic, it's got a lot of feels. I don't know, it showcases a lot of us too. Like, I feel like it's a very A.M.s feature, and it
Yeah.
kind of captured where we were in that moment and everything that was going around us in that time, I feel.
Yeah, that's definitely our jam, layering and textures. So that's a good one. I mean, it's hard. I always have a hard time with that, but I really love Into the Chill. To me, that song is it's just beautiful. It's really it has the sparseness, simplicity. It doesn't need all these other things to make it sound. It's just really pretty as it is, as like this simple song. And I think that's the first one we recorded. I remember finishing the first take and being like, damn, that sounds good. And yeah, and just like to me, the message in that too is just like with all this, just craziness that goes around you and that's happening in the world and everything that, like these things you have to deal with. There's always like this light at the end of the tunnel, there's like something to look forward to. Just like a simple message.
Mhm.
To me, that song is powerful.
I want to ask about distance because the two of you live basically on the opposite sides of the country. So, going on tour, playing shows, kind of hard to put this together.
Totally.
How does that change the plan for the music, given that there is no CD release show, there is no tour to support the album? It's just you're putting it out there.
That is true. I mean, we try to make an effort to visit each other, a few times a year and get some gigs, but it is logistically pretty damn hard to actually go on tour just in both of our situations right now. As far as our music getting out there, I mean, I do perform every week, so I perform regularly. So I do play, like I always play, some of our songs. So I am definitely getting stuff out there, but just the two of us playing it's definitely a challenge, but it is super awesome when we do because it's very special. And I think it's just really fun to have us. And I think other people enjoy it too, when the two of us are actually playing together. It makes me really happy because I'm playing these songs by myself and then Mari comes in with the pianos and harmonies. I'm like, okay.
You're like,
Now
oh,
we're
hello. How
yeah,
lovely.
now we're talking.
But it is nice. I mean, because he's been playing locally down there, usually if I come down there, people, the places down there know them. There's a great music scene down there, very supportive, like the breweries, and there's a lot of wineries, of course. So we usually, when I come down there, we usually are able to book like 2 in a weekend. No problem. But yeah, we'll try and maybe, I don't know how we get beyond that, but we are excited just to share our music when we can. And mind you, when it's just the two of us, it's like the MTV Unplugged version where it's just like everything's really stripped back. Like, don't expect, we're probably
Yeah.
not going to play Ignite the Sky live. Like, that's probably not going to happen. So
No choir.
yeah, we'll do, yeah. But it is fun. It's a different, and I think our songs hold up too. At least the ones that we know can hold up, stripped back too. It's kind of fun to hear them in that
Well,
way.
that's how they started it originally. And I was like, well, if these songs
True.
sound
Yeah.
good by themselves, or I mean, just with the two of us playing it, then the other stuff's just icing on the cake, Like I feel strongly like if our song sounds great, stripped down, just guitar and piano, or just really simple, then I'm like, okay, that's that makes me happy.
Right.
Well, and then just getting when we are together, once in a while, also it's amazing to try to write or work on material because it goes very differently or a lot quicker when we're in the same space trying to work out something. We're like, oh, you did that. Oh yeah, let's do this. And it happens pretty instantaneously, whereas when we're doing it long distance, there is that lag of like you listening to it, having actually getting to the song, putting, changing something, things can take longer too.
We've talked a lot about the album, but of course, you have your recently released, you did a cover of No Surprises, which is from Radiohead's 97 release, OK Computer. I'm curious about why this song and sort of your take on it.
Well, we've done like 2 other Radiohead songs. That I think we'd played, one was Black Star and the other one is, High and Dry.
We did High and Dry, so I think both off the Bends.
Yeah. And then I think I just started messing around, just started playing the piano, that guitar part on the piano. And then that might have just been like a trigger, like, ooh, let me try that or something. I think it was something like that that happened. Like, ooh, let me try that. And then we tried it, and then we were like,
You told me. I remember you
I
telling
told
me, you were like, how about doing this song? And I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, I love that song. I don't think I've played it before, but um it's just, yeah, there's something really, haunting is the right word.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
Very
kind of,
haunting.
right up our, it's our jam, right up our
Yeah.
alley.
Which is funny because we're not like serious, dark people. Like, I think you can get that from meeting us today, but like we're all about like the angst and the
Mhm.
dark. Love it. We love it.
I love, yeah, some Radiohead. Well, and I think it was just cool trying some songs like that too, or just any cover, but like that one where the roles of the instruments too are kind of flipped, you know. There's the piano's taken over the guitar, that arpeggiated guitar part, which is really cool. Like that's already different right there.
Right.
And then just to kind of fill it out and build the song, in the second verse later, I kind of I bring in the bowed bass part, you know, so it has just this our own twist on it, and I think it just sounds, we still kept it really stripped back, like simple, but it's just, yeah, it works.
The upright bass on that low. Yeah. It's the acoustic instruments like
I mean, I
feeling.
could have almost just done without the acoustic guitar, but um it was just like, let's just not like clutter this song. Let's just keep it, you know, to the to meat and potatoes, I guess. And then like it just sounds, yeah, I mean, I think it's just a beautiful song.
So, what is next for the A.M.s?
Uh well, we have been working on we recorded our second album, a whole another set of songs. So we have like, oh, you know, like we're like, oh, we're only going to do 10 songs. We barely got to 10 songs like at the end of the summer, and somehow we ended up recording October having 15 songs. Insane. So yeah, we have all that, and we just had that mixed, and so those songs will be spilling out at some point. I don't know when yet. So we have a whole other album. I mean, we need to figure out the song order and, you know, title and all that stuff, but
Yeah, we're still doing edits, like mixing edits to it. And then it still needs to get mastered. And then we'll figure out how we release it to the world. But
but we're very happy with it too. It was fun.
Nice.
It was a
Yeah.
very nice experience, and we kind of recorded and also in October, like we did the first album, and just crammed a bunch of as many songs as we could into 5 days, you know, and we had the same drummer. So like we were kind of used to what we did the first time, and we thought that was going to be our demise, just being like, oh, it's going to be a piece of cake. But um it actually, we got through it, you know, unscathed. I think like I'm pretty proud of what we did there.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Now, in terms of sound, will this new album be a lot like Ignite the Sky, or are you going in a different direction?
But Mari, do you want
Okay.
to I would say similar and different, maybe, you know, a little
Yeah,
bit of both.
because I mean we do still use same instruments, right? We still have the upright bass, we've got guitar, we've got that Steinway, that beautiful Steinway, and then some old like vintage keys as well. There might be a little bit more like soul influenced, or like
Mhm.
songs or blues, or a little bit more
Well, there's all that in there. I mean, there's a little, like, you know, soulful vibe in there. There's definitely some bluesiness in there. Um, I mean, we're a little bit hard to pin down, I think, sometimes.
because we
Go
are
ahead.
influenced by so many people or so many different genres. And like everyone, you always hear it's like, don't make music because you think that's what people want you to make. It's like, make the music you want to make, and that will be your best art. So it's always like, I know we have some of these outliers in terms of genre maybe, but to us, it speaks that way to us. Like it comes out that way. It's, and we think it's fun. And like with 15,000 Days, it's like our Latin jam, but people probably don't know that Adrian played in like a Latin, like salsa quartet for a little bit.
Quartet.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. We have a lot of different influences, and it might not always be apparent, but we just like to explore where we can.
All right.
There will be surprises on this one.
I like to hear that. I like to hear that a lot. All right. Well, Mari, Adrian, thank you both so much for joining me. It was cool to kind of learn about the album, and of course, looking forward to the next one. And in the meantime, folks, if you want to learn more about these two amazing musicians, you go to the amsmusic.com. It's the -ams-music.com. You'll find everything there. Follow them on Spotify, of course. Follow their socials. And definitely looking forward to whatever comes down the road, and looking forward to the next conversation.
Thanks for having us. That was great.
Hi, this is singer Kate Eppers, and you're listening to Citywide Blackout.
And that brings this episode to a close. Thanks to everyone for listening, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook at Citywide Blackout and Twitter and Instagram at CitywideMax. You can reach me at citywidemax@yahoo.com to suggest a guest or submit music for the Blackout Collection playlist. You can find this show wherever you check out your favorite podcasts, and new episodes are aired every Saturday at 10 p.m. EST on Boston Free Radio. That's all for now, and I'll see you next time.
Ask the moon and the stars to play one evening in the spring. Radiant and glowing, dawn the light they bring. Clouds begin to gather, the night no longer clear. Celestial friends move on. I'm wishing they were near. Lovely silver moon, stars shining at your side, slowly sailing overhead in the darkness. Ride, how do you rise and fall? Look so near to me. I wish you'd stay, but we go on separately. Climb on the starlight's ladder, grab a moonbeam's hand, meet them where they rise, follow where they set on land. Keep on building stairs until toppling to the sea. Moon is locked in heaven's box, sun the only key. you'd stay, I wish you'd stay, but we go on separately. Go separately. We go separately. We go separately.